Welcome to Champagne Problems Podcast. I am your host, Robbie Shaw. Join us as we explore mental and emotional well-being, physical optimization, and the journey to discovering your highest self. Champagne Problems is brought to you in proud partnership with Bond Buzz, the alcohol-free social spirit. Bond Buzz is an award-winning alcohol-free functional beverage company creating adult drinks that are health-forward, all-natural, and uncompromising. They're on a mission to create a future where feeling good and getting buzzed exist in absolute harmony and not at the expense of your health. Their bold concoctions offer focus and energy while calming the nervous system for a night on the town or a productive afternoon. Bond Buzz uses only natural ingredients and a hyperfunctional blend of nootropics, adaptogens, and functional mushrooms to amplify the sensory experience. If you're looking for a drink to help you cool off after work or a drink to stimulate your mind and body without the harmful, icky hangovers, drink Bond Buzz for good days only. Carson Clough, welcome back
Thank
to
you.
Champagne Problems. Welcome home. Congratulations on your silver medal.
Thank you.
Good Lord have mercy. Where to begin, man? So last time you're here, we are, getting to know Carson Clough. We're hearing the story. We're hearing the journey. We're hearing the build up to the opportunity for the Paralympics. And there's excitement. There's inspiration, there's motivation, there's a little humor, there's some serious focus. And then we part ways, and I basically just say, good luck, man. And I guess that's where we come back here, and let's follow up from that point forward. I mean, I guess we just dive into some details leading up to the Paralympics and go from there.
Yeah.
I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Had I gone to Utah?
No.
So I was right before I was about to go get my butt whooped.
Your high altitude training.
And I got my butt whooped. I went out with a team called Project Podium and stayed in Utah, which is basically a team of Olympic level triathletes or potentially in the future going to the Olympic triathletes, and then two other of my paratriathlete teammates. And the goal was to build these extra red blood cells. I called it legal doping, and see if my body reacted well to it, and train climbing mountains, running mountains, and everything in between. And my body reacted really well. I got blood drawn before it. I got blood drawn after, and it basically, my hemoglobin, blood cells was increased by 5 or 6%, and I could feel it. When you come back, and originally I thought I was going to come back, get off the airplane at sea level and feel like Superman, and it didn't exactly transfer that drastically.
Right.
But, I mean, the running and the biking and the swimming still really hurt, but I was just going faster.
So faster.
Yeah, faster. And
do you not tire out quicker, or what is it?
When you're at altitude, you tire out quicker.
Sure.
You can't go as fast. Like, I would run and wouldn't be able to hit my usual times that I hit here.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't believe that it was going to be like that, but it was just you're getting less oxygen.
Yeah.
You can't.
Bottom line.
Bottom line, and you're running around the track and you're trying to go as hard as you can, and it just doesn't go like it does at sea level. But after doing that and then coming back down, you just go faster. It was unbelievable. I'm kind of scared to race again without altitude training.
Would you? What? Well, I guess you'd have to. I mean, you can't do it every time.
You can't do it every time.
Yeah.
I mean, they make altitude tents. So basically, after I went to Utah, I came back here for a few days, and then I went to Vichy, France, and I lived in a room. It's not a hyperbaric chamber. What do they call it? A hypoxic room, where basically I was living at altitude. I had to stay in that room between 12 and 14 hours every day. And that allowed me to sleep and technically live at altitude, and then I could go train at sea level. And that's the best case scenario.
Huh.
So they do make altitude tents that you can have at home, and I may be looking into one of those. It was just unbelievable. It was something that I didn't really know would have that big of an impact. And everybody's body is different.
Yeah.
And luckily
so not everybody's going to react that way.
Not everyone's going to react that way. Maybe some people react better. But I had our what would he be considered? I just call him our smart guy. He basically was like, your body reacted one of the best. And so I was pretty stoked about that.
So that's insane, by the way. But so just a couple of questions. If it were, well, I know one answer, because I would say, well, why doesn't everybody go do this? So everybody doesn't react the same way. I guess that's one answer. Opportunity would be another.
Yep.
Means maybe. And then what's the altitude? Is it like higher the better? Or is there a standard level?
I think at a certain level, it's kind of all the same.
Yeah.
But, the way I think for everything, keep pushing. And so I'm
higher.
like, when I'm living in Vichy, me and my roommate, luckily they didn't allow us to adjust the altitude ourselves, because we're like, well, we felt good last night. Let's bump it up and see if we can get a few more. Right. I don't think it really works like that, but I don't know if I have the best answer for you there.
Okay. Well, how high? Well, so how high?
I was at 7,000.
Okay.
I got acclimated to 7,000 feet.
Got it. And then when you're in Vichy, you're in a chamber of sorts that replicates that, and it just lower the oxygen. Is that kind of what it is?
I think it puts maybe CO2 in there.
Oh, interesting.
And does remove oxygen from it. And you can hear it. It's like this little thing above my bed that would pump in, I guess, CO2 to decrease the oxygen. You had to keep the doors shut. Like when you came in, you had to hurry up and shut the door.
Wow. Yeah, because we do different breathing practices and some of that Wim Hof stuff. Like and it's the same idea. I mean, you're over, or I don't know the words, but you're getting rid of all your oxygen and pulling in CO2, because CO2 makes your body react a certain way. It makes you crave oxygen or need oxygen.
Yeah.
You feel that, like, it's like holding your breath underwater or holding your breath in general. Once that CO2 starts to build up in your blood, it triggers certain things in your brain that makes you go, hey, dude, you need to breathe.
Yeah.
But you can train yourself to not to bring that reaction down.
Yeah.
I guess that's all kind of intertwined in there. Interesting, man. Holy moly.
Yeah, so it was very cool. And then the training in Utah, it's the highest level, or the most amount and the highest level of training I had done. Get to Vichy, I'm with most of my teammates, and we're just, all we're doing is training. I didn't walk. It was run, bike, swim, eat, and chill.
Just nonstop.
Nonstop.
Golly.
So,
I guess it makes sense. It's what you got to do to be the best, right?
Yeah. It was cool. It's very cool looking back on it. Because at the time being with people was the greatest part. If I had to do all of that training by myself, it probably wouldn't have been able to happen.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I'm definitely stoked that I was able to kind of commit to it, put my body through it, and that my body was able to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I wouldn't want to do that next month.
Right.
I'm excited for the break.
Right.
I am doing world championships in a month, but I'll be training for it, but it'll be more at a normal level. Because it was not normal in Vichy in Utah at all.
So I imagine, like you said, like the people you're with and your team and even others, there's got to be a brotherhood or a sisterhood and brotherhood, like camaraderie. Just band of brothers kind of thing.
It's just, you're all waking up and not everybody's doing the exact same thing. Everybody has, different level of disabilities, but you're all at least suffering together. Like we would all go to the track and do our own workouts. But instead of me being at the track here by myself, it was just a bunch of other people. And you see them pushing themselves, it makes you push yourself.
Yeah.
And then having coaches there yelling at us, that helps me.
Yeah.
I react well to the yelling.
You like the Bobby Knights?
Yeah, exactly. The chair, that's the chair throwing.
That's right. So, I imagine the bond. I mean, you just must be bonded to these people now. I mean,
it was cool. We definitely, you get to know each other because it's working out, and then we're all eating together, and then we're all chilling together. The one thing is we did have to spend so much time in the altitude rooms, and not everyone was in them. Some people weren't doing the altitude training, so that kind of made us separate a little bit. But yeah, it was fun being able to just be there with everybody and experience that high level of training together.
Well, I mean, you know this as an athlete, like especially at a higher level collegiate athlete. I mean, I often talk about the value of sport, and that's generally where I go. There's obviously lots of values, but what I loved about playing at a high level in basketball was when you compete at that level, you are going into a place in your brain and your existence that is very vulnerable. It is, It's deep, man. And it is like, this is, when I lose my shit, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Like that's really who I am, when I just lose all control. And sometimes when you're at that high level of competition, that's where you go, is that just intense level of emotion. It can be anger, it can be, just competitiveness and ego, or it can be lots of different things. But when you do that with other people, you're bonded.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part about team.
Exactly. And especially coming from training here a lot. I was with, the Queens triathlon team. I would start to do some swimming, some running, some biking with them. But before that, it was just whoever I could find. So going from doing some training alone to all my training is now with other people. It was super helpful too.
Yeah.
And you're going out there on the track or these long bike rides, you definitely are you're looking at them and this sucks. And then at the end, everyone's so stoked. You have this high, this runner's high.
Hell yeah.
And you're just happy to be done, accomplish something, doing it with other people. And so it was awesome.
That's good stuff, man. All right. So then, let's move to Paris.
So,
how early do you get there?
We went from Vichy to Paris. So Vichy was about 3 hours south. Took a bus on Monday the 26th. And our race originally was Sunday. It got moved a day because
I remember. It actually helped me watch it, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it got moved.
The dirty water. But we got there the 26th, entered the village. I walked into the village and I couldn't believe it's just like a mini town that they just built
for the Olympians.
To house and feed thousands of people. And I think their plan is to turn it into affordable housing. It was very nice, I thought. I think it was in an area that is up and coming right outside of Paris. It's still in Paris, but not in the heart. And then the dining hall, it was like the Asian station, the halal station, the world station. And I did, the very first night I got there, I had 5 or 6 plates of food. And it was actually a huge mind game, because at that point, your body thinks that you're still training 4 to 5 hours a day. But I was only training 1 to 3 hours a day because we're dialing it back. I still have intensity in my training, but just not the length. And so my body still wanted to eat 5 plates of food. So
your metabolism is just nuts.
My metabolism was nuts, but I'm still not burning that amount. Hey, leave it. I'm still not burning that amount, but I was still hungry. I was hungry. I was so hungry, and I just wasn't going to burn it. So the first night I let myself splurge, and I overate for sure. I was like, man, but you can't give me a dumpling station with unlimited free dumplings.
Please.
And then I walked through another line, and I'm like, well, on plate number 4, I got to try all of this. So the food, I had a great experience with the food. The desserts were fantastic. I did dial back the eating after that. The cardboard beds, they were comfy. I didn't hear too many complaints on them, but I had no problem with them.
Mm-hmm.
There was not condom dispensers like people were talking about. It was just like baskets of condoms, buckets around.
That's interesting. I mean, you gotta tell me some of that stuff. I mean, I know there's always a little bit of like unspoken secrecy around what goes on in the Olympic Village, but we all know.
Well, you did. So I was getting. I mean, my friends would send me all of the screenshots of all of the social media where it says, all the things about the condoms and all the athletes having sex and. I don't necessarily know if it's different from the Paralympics and the Olympics, but they did have condoms everywhere.
Yeah.
Available.
Were the buckets empty by the end of the week?
Well, I definitely think by the end of the week, because people were taking them to take them home.
Sure.
They all had like messages. It was pretty funny. Right when we got there, we did go check them out and see what messages are on these condoms.
Yeah.
But
God, it's so funny.
They did have condoms. The cardboard beds were comfy. What were some of the other things that people were wondering about? I mean, the places we stayed were just, they were nice. I mean, it was the accommodations I thought were great. ACs in every single room, like little portable ACs.
Did you have your own room?
No, I had a roommate. It was basically we were in an apartment with 4 rooms, and it could be up to 2 people per room. I was most from para-triathlon. Most people were together, but me and Howie was my roommate. We were with people from other teams, so it was me and 2 para archers, para taekwondo, and para lifting.
Cool.
I think we had 3 or 4 medals in our apartment, which was pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Archer, one of the archers was no arms, and I'm not sure if he got gold or not, but he got a medal, and that's unbelievable.
Wow. That's insane.
So yeah, I mean, kind of back to the race, we lightened the training, kept up the intensity. The USA creates a high performance center. So basically, it's a place to train for only USA athletes. So every city that holds an Olympics, they go in and make a deal with some facility and basically says, hey, can we rent this for the period of the Olympics? We're going to upgrade the facilities, and you guys get to keep all the upgrades, but we get to use it. And it was pretty cool. Just the Paris, the International Olympic Committee has another facility for all teams to use, but you just have to book times. And so being a USA athlete, we're spoiled because it had food, track, pool, strength and conditioning. I mean, it had it all. So we would go over there, and then it was getting close to race time. And the big thing for us was, is the current too strong to swim in? Is the water dirty? And when are we going to swim? So, and when basically every time it rained, that washed everything into the Seine, increased bacteria levels. So they made the decision early on to have one para-triathlon race day as opposed to 2 separate ones.
Okay.
And then we had our briefing. We get an email at 8 p.m. It says bacteria levels are good. Race is on. Go to bed. I'm ready to go. I mean, at this point, I'm going nuts because I'm actually mentally like It was like the weirdest feeling, but right when I got to the village, I was just so stoked that I was done with Utah and done with Vichy, and I was very proud of the time I put in, and like I said, that my body could handle it, that I was kind of like, I wasn't really nervous. It was just like, I'm either going to go out and race well or I'm not. I did one thing that I was super stoked about is I had this guy who was training me. He was the backup guide, and he does a lot of, his name's Marty. He does a lot of Ironman and longer distance training, but is a super good athlete. And he paced me for all my track workouts. And one of the track workouts, my coach in Vichy gave me times that I was like, there's no chance I'm going to hit this. And not only that, I was terrified. It was just going to be one of those shitty track sessions where I knew I was going to be gagging the whole time. I got through it. And so I told Marty about 4 days before the race, my coach, I don't know if he loved the idea. He didn't love the idea, but I was like, Marty, let's go for a mile PR. Cause I always wanted to run a fast mile. I never thought I would be able to get one sub 5, which I did about a year ago. But I was like, I would love to get it in the 4:30s. And Marty paced me for a 4:36 mile. And after that, I really was just like, my body is in the best shape by far it's ever been in. I'm ready for this race. So going back to the night before, I was just like, since my training load was so much lower, I just had so much energy. I mean, I had more time. So I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I wasn't exactly I was still, I mean, the week before I wasn't really working at all. We're not training as much. So then you're just like, what do I do with this extra time? So I went to bed. Next thing you know, my roommate's waking me up at 4:30. Hey, we just got the email. It's canceled. So,
Oh, God.
so I was like, that was for me, worst case scenario was the race getting moved solely from a selfish perspective that I had, I think it was like 55 or 57 people had bought plane tickets to come over. And if the race got moved, some people were going to miss it because they just had other things to get back to or were going to more travel. And so, and I just really wanted to hang out with them normally. Like I hung out with them that day that it got moved. I went and I hung out with them, and it was just like, I even had to tell people, hey, I'm not doing hugs because I didn't want to catch a bug.
Sure.
And at that point, there was some stuff going on in the village where I was even wearing a mask and carrying hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
I was the healthiest, cleanest I've ever
Most
been.
in shape.
And it was almost to an uncomfortable level. I'm like, well, we're doing things too much to a T. But
Wow.
it got moved back, and at that point, there's nothing you can do. It's out of my control. Mentally, I was fine. I'm just like, all right, we'll just wait for tomorrow. I just really didn't want to get pushed back another day because then even more people were leaving. And got the email at 8 p.m. They basically did an 8 p.m. test and a 4 a.m. test. Got the one at 8 p.m. No email came at all at 4. And so I just texted my coach. I was like, are we on? And he's like, hell yeah, let's go. So,
oh, God. Then it's like, whoa.
And then
There we go.
And then, you get there. This venue is, it's right in the heart of Paris. Few bridges down from the Eiffel Tower. I forget what the actual bridge is called. It's a famous bridge with gold people everywhere. We're riding down the Champs. But, we took a bus over there. It was hectic. There was traffic everywhere. We're getting, where the police motorcycle escorted. Right to the heart of the city, which was pretty cool. But I was just like, let's go. Now my race, instead of being at 10 in the morning, it was at like 12:30. So a little bit of a waiting game. The afternoon races for me are not as ideal as you just wake up, you don't even have time to think, and you just go race.
Yeah.
This, you have a little bit more time to think. But I mean, it was there. It was go time. So we get there, and I just do my warm ups.
Do you feel like? I assume you have to fuel up somehow. What are you putting in your body before this?
So I had a normal breakfast, and we had a whole plan. Like, I talked to a nutritionist, and I wasn't super strict. I was just kind of. It was more on race day. Even though I felt and thought I was good, there is some sort of nerves because I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
It's normally I wake up and I'm all right. What the dining hall has million stations. What am I getting this morning? But race day, I had normal breakfast, and then I had 2 PB&Js that I packed and like 2 granola bars, and it was just forced.
What's normal breakfast?
Normal breakfast is I mean, it's not normal, but I had like chocolate croissant, crepes, over easy eggs, hash browns, bacon, sausage, fruit. I had it all.
On the day of the race?
On the day of the race, I did
some version.
Some
all right,
version.
We don't have to go too detailed.
Yeah, some version of
curious.
That. And then PB&Js and granola bars.
PB&J is my fuel, by the way. I love it.
I eat. Actually, it's been a little while since I've kind of stepped it back, but I was having potentially 7 PB&Js a day when I was in Utah.
That peanut butter, man, that gives you the fuel.
I mean, I would have them just in the bag that the bread came in. I would take all the loaves out, make 12 PB&Js, put them right back in the bag, and just carry the bag around with me. And then it's race time. And
I saw you sitting on the edge.
For our plan, it was, like I said, I'm going. I had this lofty goal to try and beat this guy that's never been beaten. I did everything I could. At the end of the day, he still crushed me, and I just gotta give him the credit for being a better endurance athlete. I mean, he's better at swimming. He's better at biking. I think if we did a run race, I may be able to keep up with him, but I think he beat me by 2.5, 3 minutes.
What's his name?
Alexi.
Yeah. I mean, he as a watcher or whatever you call it, observer, he seemed a little unbeatable. I mean, I would almost consider you won gold.
Well, I mean, gold. If it was gold, then that was my ticket out. So I didn't get my ticket out. But he did. I mean, he prepared well. He was excited. He was very confident, and so even though I had this large goal of beating him, I was still probably more excited just to get to that finish. I definitely was more excited to get to the finish line, but when I knew I was going to get a medal, I didn't even really think that much about it. That's everybody's big question: is when did you know you had a medal? Probably a mile left in the run, and I was asking my coach, how far is the guy behind me so that I can slow down and enjoy this, and he wouldn't tell me. I'm like, Coach, get your old ass out here and you start running, or tell me where this guy is. Even though I can kind of see him, you can see him because it's just a loop.
Oh, yeah.
There's just, like, mentally, there's no way to tell how far they are.
Yeah.
And I think he was about 30 seconds, but I wanted to really chill. Like start to take in the sights and just know that I had that.
Well, you were 4th. I mean, for the coverage was kind of spotty, as you know.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And it said 4th, and so, all I knew was 4th, and then it never really gave updates after that as far as where you were until all of a sudden I saw you in 2nd.
Yeah, so I was out of the water, I was 4th, and then it was Alexi, and then the British guy, Michael Taylor, who I didn't think, when I passed him on the bike, I thought I had lapped him, but he was actually ahead of me. So it was French, British, French, and then me. And I just tried my best to stay with that second French guy, because in the water, the ultimate plan was get on Alexi's feet. And if I could stay with him the whole swim, my chances of being able to beat him or him making a mistake, putting some pressure on him, was much higher. I stayed with him for about a little less than half, and then I just couldn't hold his feet.
Yeah.
And by holding his feet, that's basically same as biking, or you're using a draft, and it makes it much easier. But you have to be more mentally in tune, because instead of just swimming, I have to stay right behind him. I have to stay within a certain distance. Every time I go to breathe, I mean, I drank more sin water than anyone else by far, because every time I would lift my head, go to breathe, he's kicking, I'm taking in a mouthful, spitting it back out, or swallowing it, breathing, and then doing it again.
Trying to stay like not too far back, but also not touch him.
Exactly.
And, like, you gotta maintain.
So I knew when he broke away that unless he had a big mistake, it was going to be tough to catch him. So it was just stay with the second French guy, who is not as strong of a runner, but he's a very good swimmer and biker. So if I could make up ground or stay with him on the bike, my chances of getting on the podium were going to be much higher. So I came off the bike third, literally right behind the second place guy, and passed him in the first half mile on the run, and I knew he wasn't gonna catch me. But the guy who ended up getting third from Spain, he's two-legged. He is fast. He's a really good dude too. But I was like, man, Neil, can you just chill so that I can chill a little bit, because he's coming in hot, and he's a great biker, great runner, and so he was putting pressure. And then there was a third French guy, Pierre, that I don't think I had beaten before, and he ultimately came in fourth. So it was French, me, Spain, French.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was, I think the video boys did interviews with some of the French guys, because they came to Vichy for the documentary. And I just remember them saying they interviewed the French coach, and they thought for sure France was going to sweep the podium. And one of the...
Who thought that? The video guys or
no,
the French?
The French.
Yeah.
The French coach. But one of the coolest things was some of my competitors, they were going to go out and race and do their best, but I think some of them maybe knew that they weren't going to be racing for one of the top 3 spots. And I had multiple people come up to me and just basically say, hey, I know we're in the same race, but do me a favor and make sure the French don't sweep the podium.
Yes.
And when I found out that they thought they were definitely going to sweep it, I think their name for me was Baby Carson, because I'm still so new. I don't know why it's Baby Carson, but when I heard
it's a jab is why.
When I heard they thought they were for sure going to sweep the podium, and then I had people in my own race kind of like, hey, we're cheering for you. Don't let these French guys sweep the podium.
Yeah.
I was pretty pumped up by that.
Nice.
So it was definitely good that Neil caught up and we were able to diversify that podium.
Yeah.
And then Paratriathlon USA team won. Out of all the nations, we got the most amount of medals, which was pretty awesome. I think 8 in total. Wow.
Holy moly, man. Yeah, I when I saw that it got canceled, I wasn't able to see it on the original schedule, because it was freaking 3 a.m. or something. And I mean, I have a daughter,
Yeah.
I love you, but
no, it was going to be some insane time.
Yeah, and then I saw that it was canceled, but even then I didn't know it was going to be pushed out a little bit more than what the original time was. And I mean, I've told this story already a number of times. I was laying in bed that next morning, not even really thinking about it, and like kind of woke up on my own at like 4 something in the morning and was thinking about this company, like just rolling around in bed, spinning wheels. And I always am like trying to hold off on grabbing my phone. And then right around like 5:50, I was like, all right, I'm not going back to bed. And I grabbed my phone, and like the first thing I saw was Canon put up a post of the time and the place that you could watch the race. And it was like 12 minutes from where I was looking at the phone. I was like, bam, jumped up, ran downstairs, turned the TV on, boom, watched the race.
Heck yeah.
It was awesome.
I've heard from a few people that it was just like they randomly woke up and Paratriathlon was on.
Yeah.
And they got a chance.
It was a perfect time. It was 6:10. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Golly, it was amazing, man. I think whatever. I mean, obviously we pull hard for you, but it was emotional. It was amazing seeing you come in for the silver. Because again, I had no idea.
Yeah.
The coverage sucked. Unfortunately.
It's tough for them because they have to have motorcycles. I don't even know if they had like a helicopter or if they could get a helicopter in there.
Yeah.
But just with having to do so many different individual races going on at the same time and then covering them, I was hoping that we would get a little bit more coverage just because Alexi is a very well-known French figure. I mean, he was in the opening ceremonies for the Olympics. He was in the opening ceremony for the Paralympics. He was on ads all over Paris. I met some random person on the train, and they were like, "You're racing Alexi?" I was like, "I'm racing Alexi. Hopefully going to beat his ass." But so everybody knew him. I thought the attention he was getting was going to transfer to our coverage, but unfortunately, he was so far. He got a lot. Yeah, he was so far ahead of me that it didn't really matter who was behind him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did get a good bit of coverage, but and not to get too deep in this, but what the problem was they weren't announcing what was going on behind him.
Yeah.
Whereas the other races, they would show like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they would show Alexi, and that was it. And they wouldn't show who was like in line behind him. So I just had no idea where you were. I knew you were 4th coming out of the water. And so when I saw you come in at 2nd, it was almost better.
More
because
exciting.
I like celebrated. It was oh my God, I had no idea. I thought you might have been an 8th for all I know. I mean, so sick, dude. Sick. Chug the or shotgun a Busch Light. Is that right?
Right after.
Busch Light. I saw that. Phenomenal celebration. And then, I mean, what's next? Like ceremony and then party?
So, I mean, immediately after the race, I had to do a little route through some media. And I was like, come on, guys, I got 55 people who came over here who've been waiting to see me be normal around them. We went to a bar. And next thing you know, every single person has my leg and is just chugging beers out of my leg.
This one, or is it a different?
Yeah, no, this one.
Oh my God!
I guess I had my running blade on at the time, but it wasn't my racing leg, and we made sure to clean it out. But it was so funny. We're screaming in this bar. The bar and the bartenders and the owner was so cool. We took over everything, and it was just people passing around my leg and. We started to break out in some karaoke, and it turned from organized to disorganized real quick.
As it should.
So we did that for about 2 days. Then most people left.
2 days.
and it was 2 days of my little brother. We had talked before about him staying over, and we would do some traveling. But he hadn't switched his flight yet. And I talked to him after the 2 days, and I was like, you mean to try and call American and see if we can switch the flight? And he's like, dude, I can't. I got to get out of here. So I think there are a lot of people like that. Yeah. They're like, all right, it's been fun, but it's time to go.
Congratulations.
There's been nothing normal about the past 3 days, so we need to get back to some normalcy.
Oh, that's so great.
But then I got, when everybody left, I got a chance to hang out with the team as normal people.
Yeah.
And we got to watch a lot of the other sports, go to para-swimming, go to para-track, and just kind of, soak in the actual experience.
God, yeah.
And so went to closing ceremonies. That was just a big party, which was awesome. And now just back here, and I've been in the pool one time. That was tough to get in. I almost got in and then got right out, but I did do a little bit of swimming.
Mm-hmm.
But I will get back to next week. I'll get back to kind of a medium level training schedule.
Yeah.
As I prepare for Worlds, which will be in Spain in October. I'm going to the White House next weekend.
Are you really?
So we're gonna go meet Joe, and hopefully it's just gonna be a big party too. I think it's Olympics and Paralympics.
Oh wow.
That are going.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're gonna have that many people, but should be cool.
Yeah. Sounds like it. World Championships next month?
Next month.
Jesus. I'm right at it.
That's what I was saying. Originally was not going to do it. I was just going to prepare for this and then chill. But there's a mixed relay race where basically we have one person from each category, or for a total of 4 from each country will all be on a team and go for another medal. So there's a regular triathlon and then a mixed relay race. I didn't explain that very well. Basically, there's one blind athlete, one wheelchair athlete, one one-legged athlete or one-armed athlete, and then one other athlete for a total of 4 that all are on the same team, and you do much shorter triathlons. So I'll still swim, bike, and run all in a row. And as soon as I come through, I basically tap the next person and they go.
Wow.
And I think they're going to put me on that team. I did it last year and we won it, but it was just a test run.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's an official event. So they said they would like me to participate in that, which I'm pretty stoked about.
How often do they do the Worlds?
Once a year.
Once a year?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's normally the big points race. And it's still a big points race, but supposedly during an Olympic year, it's much chiller.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some people still getting after it, but I'm
don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
All right, man. Holy cow. What a great synopsis. Oh my God. Thank you for all of that recap. So, all right. So maybe a couple more questions, maybe just 2, and then we'll wrap it. But so you come off of the Olympic high. Is there any kind of what's it feel like as you were just up here for so long and now you're kind of here? Is that a negative thing or is that a good thing?
I think there's, you have a bunch of people talking about kind of the post-Olympic depression.
Sure.
Even the USA delegation sends out resources.
Help, right.
For here's ways to manage or handle it. I came home and I got right back to work. I'm very fortunate that Ryan and Lisa, the owners of the Giddy Goat, have been, they're some of my biggest supporters in all of it. And at the same time, I'm supposed to be boots on the ground running this business. Luckily, we have an awesome team that was able to run everything. But Ryan and Lisa let me came to Paris, supported me for my adventure, allowed me to, stay involved. And now as soon as I hit the ground, I woke up and I was like, let's go to work. I was stoked.
Right back.
So I fortunately have not experienced any lows or anything like that. It's just more of the lowest point was trying to get myself back into the pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise I just got right back to work and got to see Calder for the first time in a month. And then just seeing people that weren't able to come to Paris, but were still huge supporters, watched it all.
Yeah.
So it's been.
I tried, man. I was coming to Paris.
Yeah,
we were doing it.
It's been fun seeing everybody. And
I
then
bet, dude.
I guess I have it.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been carrying the medal. Most people have nice cases for it. I mean, you can see, just like all my clothing, I have stains already on the lanyard or whatever.
Woo! Look at that bad boy.
But most people have it in nice cases on a mantle, and I'm just keeping it in my backpack and I let one of my employees, I was like, hey, I got to go to a meeting. Will you wear this around? And apparently he was just Max Musser. I don't know if you know Max. He
At Giddy?
At Giddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I've met him.
So I gave it to him and I was like, hey, I'm going next door for a meeting. Will you just hold on to this? And apparently he was just
rocking it,
walking around. So I'm having fun with it. I don't think it's meant to be in a case.
No, probably not. Well, if it ever is, my family has a picture framing business.
Really?
Yeah, and we case up things like that all the time. So we'll take care of you. Calder. So, all right, my last question. There are rumblings of Winter Olympics. Talk to me.
Sled hockey.
Yes.
So I reached out to, I actually ran into the woman. She's no longer with USA Triathlon. I think she's with USA Goalball. She was the one who got me set up for my first ever triathlon. I ran into her. We caught up a little bit, and I just threw out sled hockey. And she's like, I know the high performance director, so I need to reconnect with her. I told her, put in a word ASAP. I just want to get my butt in a sled and see if I like it, see what it's like.
What is that, by the way?
You're basically, instead of having hockey skates on, you're sitting in a sled with blades underneath, and then you have two sticks with picks at the end. And instead of, because you're not using your legs at all, you're basically using picks in the ice to go across, and they have blades at the end so you can play hockey.
Double blades.
Oh,
that's sick. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. So that is when I got my accident, I was like, oh man, I'm going to go play sled hockey. Like I just thought it in my head. I never made any action or anything, but that is my one chance to put on an actual USA hockey jersey. So I don't know if I'm going to have the skill. I mean, those guys they are very good at what they do, but if I go out there and I enjoy it and it's something where I find somebody who thinks I can do it, I'm going to go for it. So that's the Winter Olympic talks.
When might that start?
I need to start making those reach outs ASAP.
When is the Winter Olympics?
2026. In Italy, I think.
We got time. We got time.
We got time, but it'll be another.
If you start tomorrow,
if I start tomorrow, it's going to be another smush, just like triathlon.
Amazing. All right, Carson Clough. I'm proud of you. I'm proud to know you.
Thank you, big time.
Congratulations. I love you, man.
Yeah.
Give me some. Thank you for all you do.
No, thank you.